What up, guys? Welcome back. We are here. Week 2 of the NFL season is kicking off today. Technically kicked off on Thursday with the Green Bay Packers and Washington Commanders game, and we saw how that game ended up being, especially if you were tailing the prop that I presented of Bill Krosky Merritt. It was very unfortunate that he wasn't able to hit, but that's okay. We're not going to hit them all, but we had a nice little streak of 3 for 3. I am aiming to put out today another prop so I can get 2 props this weekend. That's what I promised y'all. If you guys are following me on Instagram, make sure, if you're not, make sure to follow it. I gave some information regarding that. I'm also on TikTok as well as YouTube here. And if you aren't a person who's subscribed to the channel, please do and subscribe, like this video, like the other videos. And if you guys have any chance to watch any of the other ones as well, like them too. I will be putting out a week 2 waiver wire show as well around Monday night, Tuesday morning. I really do appreciate it. I was able to receive some messages in regards to that and some questions on it, which was really cool. So it definitely looked like it was something that was very helpful and brought a lot of conversation. So I'll make sure to do a week 2 one. And if you guys have any ideas or things you want to look at or look forward to, make sure to reach out. Let me know. I'm more than happy to do so. So we are going to get started here. I'm going to we're going to be waiting for a few more people to hop on. Make sure to have your questions ready. If you guys want to start throwing them in the comments, that's perfect. I will go right through them as soon as we break down this quick DFS slate here. Make sure to let me know how many players are in your team. If it's a 10-team, 12-team league, if it's even more, let me know that. If it's a PPR, half PPR, standard, whatever that is, please make sure to let me know. That also helps me help you hopefully make the right decision this week. We're going to get this kicked off here. All right. We have right in front of us the tournament that I have in front is the fantasy football. I mean, they used to call it the Millie Maker, but the Millionaire, 1 million to first. It's a $20 entry. Today, it's actually not as full as it was last week. Last week was a $5 entry. So, more people are either maxing it out or jumping on it earlier. So there's still room if you guys want to jump on it. We're going to go through some thought process here. I'm going to give some thoughts also on single entry, 3 entry max. I'll kind of explain that as I go as well. So usually the thought process behind this type of tournament here, you want to have the highest scores. I mean, that's really what it is. In a single entry, 3 entry max, you're looking for a safe floor, meaning if there's a player that averages about 10 to 12 points, you want to hit that range more likely than not. In a tournament like these that are going to be very high scoring dependent, you're going to want that upside. So if you are playing Josh Allen, a 20-point outing is not ideal. You would want his 35, 40, 45, 50, whatever that may be, so that you have a chance to reach the top of the leaderboard. They also have, obviously, there's other standings in there as well where you can win other payouts. We're going to go right into this. We're going to talk about quarterback. We just mentioned Josh Allen. Josh Allen, y'all, he is 7,100. Typically, Josh Allen, midway, late into the season, there are times even early on this season, you see him at the 8,000 mark. And that's mainly because that's the type of player he is, that type of upside that he offers, and I mentioned 45, 50 points. That's a kind of outing that he can have. Today, he's playing the New York Jets. If you watched last week and noticed week 1, Aaron Rodgers had a field day versus the New York Jets. He threw for 4 touchdowns. Now, we're thinking about Aaron Rodgers now, much older, no longer in his prime, but still was able to show you a little bit of something. Josh Allen is coming off of an MVP season. If there's any game, as you already saw Sunday Night Football, which quite arguably might have been one of the best Sunday Night Football games I have seen the most recent memory, honestly. It was such a great game. No defense was played, but offensively, it was a back and forth. It was a shootout. So Josh Allen is someone I am very interested in here. Josh Allen, if you've seen my best ball streams, Josh Allen's the type of guy I don't typically need to stack with. It is also not a bad thing to stack with. In the DFS streets, they call this a naked quarterback. It's when you play the quarterback without any of his pass catchers. If you are indeed looking to grab a pass catcher, I think some of the names that are going to stand out that might be going a little bit under the radar today, and it's Keon Coleman, who we just saw have a monster game. I believe he had about 11 targets, 7 to 8 catches. I mean, he was outstanding. I am a huge Keon Coleman guy, and it was really cool to see him have that type of output. If we are going to get that type of year from Keon Coleman and no one's going to play him, that might be one of the guys you want to hop on today. So he is, and I'll just go right to him. He is currently, I believe, 5,100. Yes, 5,100. Keon Coleman is 5,100. That's an option. The other option I was looking into is James Cook. James Cook is 6,400. I think that his price point, yes, 6,400. I think for his price point, some people are not going to play him because he's more of this middle tier guy. Some might go up here higher to play and lower to play. So sometimes these middle guys kind of get squeezed and they don't get looked at as much. So some of the names, Dalton Kincaid is another option. I believe he's about 3,700. Let me double check that. 3,700. Good. All right, cool. Yes, so 3,700. He's right around this bucket too. Another guy I'll talk about shortly here in Juwan Johnson, but we'll go right back to quarterback. But some of those pass catchers, if indeed you wanted to play them, that's an option. If you're going to stack this game, meaning you're going to grab multiple players, you want to bring someone back. And one of the things that we were encouraged with watching the New York Jets, we want to see if they're a real thing. Week 2 is going after a lot of those guys that played that in that game very well. Justin Fields, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson. 3 of the names right there that actually gave you really good fantasy points. Quarterback-wise, we're just going to go right through this real quick. Lamar Jackson is playing Cleveland at 7,000. That's also another cheap price. I'm a little hesitant about this matchup, I'll be honest. If you saw how well Cleveland played the Cincinnati Bengals last week, I have some question marks on how they may approach the Baltimore Ravens. I still think the Ravens pull out the win here, but it's a divisional matchup with division rivals. Usually in these type of games, it's hard to predict these games because these teams know each other so well. We have Jalen Hurts at 6,800. That's also pretty affordable there. Joe Burrow, we just talked about at 6,600. Joe Burrow's an interesting play today, playing the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think obviously this is going to be one of the more popular games today, simply because of the shootout potential that we have here, and a lot of the pass catchers are really intriguing. I'll get to that as we move forward. I want to name 2 more quarterbacks for you guys here. I want to name Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott has a really good record versus the New York Giants. Now, because he has a good record versus the New York Giants, doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be the outcome today. But I do like him because I like his price at 5,900, and I like his pass catchers. If you saw CeeDee Lamb play last week, CeeDee Lamb, had he not dropped those 2 or 3 balls, we're talking about quite possibly near 200-yard game. He was getting heavily targeted, and he was catching, out of the balls that were getting thrown his way, he caught the majority of them, right? And dropped some big ones that cost them, I would say, the game. And then you have George Pickens, who's also an intriguing option because George Pickens is the type of player that can easily grab 2 to 3 catches for 70, 80 yards and a touchdown, and all that plays a part in daily fantasy. One more quarterback I want to mention, Justin Fields, down here at 5,700. Actually, I'm going to name one more for you guys, Drake May. Drake May is an intriguing play today. He is going up against the Miami Dolphins. I have one of my buddies probably on right now, Danny. I know we had this talk. I know you think they're going to go 0-6, and so far it's not looking good for me because they're 0-1. I'm not here to say Miami's going to beat New England, But I do think as far as the outcome of this game, it's going to be a good one. It should be a good one. I think this is the game we finally, hopefully, see this offense spark a little bit. And if not, then we're really going to start having more conversations about Mike McDaniel and possibly Tyreek Hill getting traded. So I'm expecting something out of that, especially if you want to play Drake May, who I already think has a great matchup. This defense didn't play really well in Miami. Drake May, Skinny Stack being one of the pass catchers with him. You can do Stephon Diggs. You can do Kayshon Boutte. If you listen to my week 2 waiver wire show, I talked about how he led the team in routes ran. He was pretty much being deployed as the number 1 receiver. I expect still a pretty good outing for him. I expect Stephon Diggs to play well today. I think one of the guys that you want to keep an eye out for is Travion Henderson, who we are hearing reports from Mike Reese, I believe it was, at ESPN, who mentioned that this is the week we might see more snaps coming from Travion Henderson. We've talked about this also in the past, that Travion Henderson is a really good pass blocker. Those are things that, as a running back, will keep you on the field. So if we're hearing that the snap shares are going up, and we already know about that, I think that gives us a little more confidence in wanting to play him, especially with how explosive he is and how he's a dual threat running back. He's going to catch out of the backfield, and that's something Drake May did with guys like Javonte Williams back at North Carolina when he played in college. We're going to go right into the running back position. I'm starting to see some comments jump in there. We're going to get right to them. I want to talk about running back. The chalkiest player, the chalkiest meaning the highest and most played player this week, will be Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey is still way too cheap. $7,500 is too cheap for the type of outing and the type of upset that this player has here. CMC has literally the whole offense. He's the focal point of this offense, and they are missing literally everybody on this squad. They are so thin on offense, and we are hearing reports that Jawan Jennings will be playing. I am a little bit concerned about him out there. Just this shoulder injury seems to be it seems to be a little concerning. And I think even if he goes out there and play, there's a good possibility that he might be out there running cardio, being a decoy for the defense. I think this is going to be a great game for a guy like Christian McCaffrey and Ricky Pearsall, who will be another guy we could talk about shortly here, who I expect to have a massive game. You have Christian McCaffrey, Ricky Pearsall, and here's a sneaky one. I'm going to throw this out there. I just want to get this because I know I want to get to some comments later. But Kendrick Bourne, y'all. Let's look at how much Kendrick Bourne is. Kendrick Bourne just signed with the San Francisco 49ers, rejoining a team that he originally played with. But Kendrick Bourne also played with Mac Jones, who will be starting at quarterback today because Brock Purdy got hurt and will be out for multiple weeks. Mac Jones and Kendrick Bourne actually have a rapport that they had when they played at New England and actually has some really strong outings. Kendrick Bourne is at, I want to say, 3,500. If you are looking for somewhat of a sneaky contrarian play today and you want to get a lot of exposure to this game, because I'm telling you right now, most people will be playing this game, from Christian McCaffrey to Ricky Pearsall. I don't know how many people are going to be clicking on Kendrick Bourne. Kendrick Bourne at 3,500 is such a sneaky play, especially given his rapport with Mac Jones, because typically when a player signs on to a team, it's rare you see them get deployed out there so quick. They're saying that they're going to bring him out there slowly with some snaps. I just believe that the snaps that he will play out there are going to be plays that him and Mac Jones have already played through back in New England. I think there's a chance that he may even score a touchdown today. But 3,500 seems too cheap for him to catch a few passes from Mac Jones. Mac Jones, we did not mention him, but Mac Jones is the min price. $4,000 is the cheapest price you will find on DraftKings. And Mac Jones, because of the news that came in later this week, is that price. A lot of people are going to play him because of the price. Not a bad play, but I just think that today is a perfect day to go after players who are still very mispriced. I will be playing multiple lineups today. So one of my lineups will have Mac Jones, of course, but my other two lineups, I'm considering guys like Josh Allen or Joe Burrow or other names like that, just because I want to take advantage of players that I will probably not see at all this year at those prices. I'm going to go, I'm sorry, excuse me. I'm going to go right back here, running back. We have some other players. Breece Hall, I mentioned him last week. He had a really good outing. If you're playing that Buffalo game against the New York Jets, he is 6,200. I think he's in that position right here where he's a bit squeezed. Dual threat player who's going to offer a lot. Tony Pollard is another one I'm really interested at 5,900. Tony Pollard should be anywhere from 66 to 6,800 given the type of workload he has. He has nobody else in that backfield he's competing with. And Denver Broncos were a very tough defense. They are quite literally the best defense in the National Football League. They play a little bit easier defense this week, just a little bit easier. I think the Los Angeles Rams defense is pretty strong. Obviously, they're young. Front four are solid. I still think there's ways to hit them in that secondary. That also brings me to a guy in Calvin Ridley, who I'm really interested in, especially at his price point today. You look at how many times he was targeted last week. There was a lot of opportunities. Guys, Cam Ward, if you look at what Cam Ward did last week and you see how many points he had like 2 or 3 points total, fantasy-wise. Cam Ward, when you watch that game, Cam Ward looked really good. He looked really good. The stat sheets don't tell you that. The box scores don't tell you that. But if you watch it with your own eyes, you would see a guy who played really well, who looked poised in that pocket. And when he was throwing these footballs to guys like Calvin Ridley, we were seeing them drop some big passes. Some passes that even the rookie, Aymanor, would have caught, would have made a massive difference in that game. So just something to keep an eye out. I think that today we might see a better game from Cam Ward and Calvin Ridley, who is 4,900. Very cheap for a number one receiver. Another name out here. I am a Bears fan. I have shared that in the past. But it's really hard not to talk about Rome Odunze and his current target share. And I think that today, this Chicago and Detroit game, Chicago had a really bad game week one. I mean, they started strong in the first half. We're not going to get into this whole thing, but it was a massive collapse. Bears fans are very used to this, myself included. It was not good. We're expecting a bounce back today. Ben Johnson is going back to his old stomping grounds in Detroit. The game will be played at Ford Field. I expect Rome Odunze, who most of his catches were caught in coverages more of man, and the Detroit Lions, they play more of a man coverage on defense. I expect Rome Odunze to have a really solid outing today. I like him, especially at his price point of 4,800. One name I'm going to mention more down here. There's obviously a lot of options, but a player that I think is still very cheap is 4,300 for Cedric Tillman. Joe Flacco showed you how many people he was willing to target, and he was one of his favorite options, even dating back. Cedric Tillman is a really good player, in my opinion. He's just a very underrated player given the team that he's currently playing for, the Cleveland Browns. But Cedric Tillman should not be anywhere near 4,300. I actually think he should be $1,000 more at 5,300 given his workload. If I pull up his page right here real quick, 8 targets, 5 receptions, and he caught a touchdown. 52 yards, 16 fantasy points. He had a really, really strong outing there. All right, we're going to get to the tight end position, and I'm going to answer all your comments. Thank you guys so much for hopping on. I appreciate it. I'm going to get through this as quick as possible because I know everybody is ready to set up their lineups. The tight end position, I'm going to make this very easy, y'all. Trey McBride is probably the easiest click this week. And for fantasy football, having a Trey McBride or a Brock Bowers, who I know is also hurt, and we just got news that he practiced yesterday after not practicing the rest of the week. There is hope that he will play Monday night. If he doesn't, a name to keep an eye out for home leagues, for fantasy football leagues, is Michael Mayer. Michael Mayer is their former second round pick that they have. He had a really decent outing as well, y'all. And I think that if Brock Bowers, you get the news late that he is not playing, that is someone you want to definitely keep an eye out, where you can move Brock Bowers to your IR spot and pick up Michael Mayer. With that said, Trey McBride is on this slate, today's slate. They're playing the Carolina Panthers, who did not look good at all on the offensive standpoint and the defensive standpoint. I expect them to have a much better outing. This is a team that I mentioned last week that I was a little nervous about, Survivor Week. Arizona Cardinals, that's the team I'm talking about right now with the New Orleans Saints, and ended up being a sweat. I picked the Bengals, which was also a sweat, versus the Cleveland Browns. This week, I am going to go with the Arizona Cardinals versus the Carolina Panthers. I don't know if I ever want to pick them again this year, and I don't know if I'm going to get a much softer matchup this week, and I hope it works in our favor. If you are playing Survivor, let me know who you guys are looking into, and I might change my mind. I have an hour left to go. I picked Arizona in one league. I got another league to still pick for. Another tight end that I'm intrigued by. I do love Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta was he had a pretty decent outing. He had 9 targets, 6 receptions. I expect Jared Goff to come back strong today, especially this team is going to be motivated to be playing versus Ben Johnson and his old team. We have Mark Andrews down here. He didn't have a strong outing, but TJ Warren is the hot name right now. I'm sorry, TJ Warren is a basketball player. Tyler Warren is playing for the Indianapolis Colts. Tyler Warren had a very heavy, healthy workload. Shane Steichen loves him. 9 targets, 7 receptions, 76 yards. He also even ran one attempt for 3 yards. He's going to be utilized a ton. Daniel Jones is going to love him. And if we're looking at that Denver's defense, Patrick Surtain, yeah, he's probably going to be on Michael Pittman or one of their wide receivers. I doubt they're going to put him on Tyler Warren, which I think creates an opportunity, especially at this price point, and given the type of workload that he had. Tyler Warren is an interesting name to pick today. Jawan Johnson, another name I mentioned in the waiver wire show. I'm sure a lot of people picked up. 12 targets, 8 receptions, 76 yards. He played on every snap. He ran a route on every dropback that Spencer Rattler did. 3,600 is way too cheap if he's going to give you something similar to that. He gives you this. He crushed his salary point. Brenton Strange is a very intriguing player. If you look at what Harold Fannin Jr. and David Njoku, as far as catches and targets thrown in the middle of the field versus the Cincinnati Bengals, that is a weak spot right now. Brenton Strange is sneaky. In my opinion, people are going to want to play Brian Thomas Jr. today and Travis Hunter, maybe even Travis Etienne. Those are all solid plays. Those are all going to be strong plays today. There's so many players to go through. But I want to mention Brenton Strange, who I don't think is going to get enough love at the tight end position. So if you're going down here and you're not picking a guy like Trey McBride, Brenton Strange is another name to keep an eye out for. Harold Fannin Jr. is still down here at 3,100. Guys, I think his role is real. I have mentioned that not only is he tight end 2, he is also being split out wide. He is coming out of the slot. They are moving him all around. 3,100 is ridiculous. Before you know it, he has another strong output. He's going to be over 4K in a hurry. All right, we're going to get right into the questions. Thank you guys so much for hopping on. We are going to go. What are your thoughts on Caleb Williams? I'm a believer. I'm still strong in my belief. 10 toes down, right? That's what the youth says nowadays. I'm a big fan. I just think that this is a new offense. This is week 1 of that new offense. And we'll see as the year goes on. I think that there was a lot of good you still saw, and obviously a lot of bad. But that is why they brought Ben Johnson, right? So let's hope that it works out, and more importantly, that it starts benefiting the folks who drafted him in fantasy football. Jonathan Gomez, think Fields being so cheap is the way most people will go. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, 5,700, and there's going to be, I'm telling you, guys like Mac Jones, 4,000 just opens up so much for you to do. You know, that's $1,700 less, and there is a $50,000 budget if you don't play daily fantasy as much. So it's a fake $50,000 budget, and your remaining salary, you continue to construct your lineup. 4K is very cheap. I expect him to still be one of the more popular plays, and folks are going to probably go up higher because they're still cheap enough plays to maybe even land guys like Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and even Lamar Jackson. Do you like Breece Hall? If you're saying, do I like Breece Hall for today? Yes, I do. And I'm a big Breece Hall guy. I'm very interested. I liked what I saw, especially given in the offseason what we were being told about Braylon Allen getting more involved. Well, he was involved, but Breece Hall was still the number 1 guy. If you have him in your leagues, I do. I will be starting him. Don't be afraid to start him. he should keep that going. As far as we know, he had a really strong outing week 1. I expect that to continue. PPR Waddle or Walker, totally torn. Kenneth Walker. Oh, okay. Jalen Waddle or Kenneth Walker. Man. Kenneth Walker had a really bad outing week 1. It actually did not look good. Charbonnet was really involved. It almost seemed like a 1A, 1B running back by committee, which if you drafted Kenneth Walker where you drafted him, it's unfortunate, honestly, because Charbonnet you got much later in drafts. Waddle is a good player. I still think Waddle's, we're still trying to figure out Miami. I'm going to go here between these two guys. I'm going to go Kenneth Walker. And I'm going to say Kenneth Walker because I'm going to give him another week. Kenneth Walker is still capable of being a dual threat back. Kenneth Walker is still, to me, and I think a lot of people, the most talented back out of that backfield. Obviously, injury concerns has been his issue all along. I expect them to start running the ball a little bit more. They're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, if I am not mistaken, today. With the Steelers, the way we saw them play the Jets last week, even though they got beat a lot in the air, one of the adjustments that I was very interested in seeing last week was that the moment Garrett Wilson started playing really well in the first half, Jalen Ramsey jumped off and went directly to shadowing him, and you kind of saw the production dip a little bit more. I expect Seattle, Jackson Smith-Njigba is going to be a popular play today, just given his numbers. If you look at his advanced analytics, he had a ton of air yards. He had a really good outing. He really did. I expect them to kind of neutralize him a little bit. He'll still be good for fantasy football. You still want to start him. But as far as like daily fantasy goes, he's someone you can't fade. You know, a lot of people are going to play him, but I don't think it's a bad option. But to go back to your question, I apologize. Kenneth Walker would be my choice there. Let's see, Pickens, Nathan, come on. Okay, Pickens or Keenan, flex spot, standard league. I'm going to go, because this is a standard league, it's going to be more touchdown dependent rather than a PPR. If it was a PPR, I'm going to lean more Keenan Allen, given what we saw out of him week 1 and what we already know about the player profile. George Pickens, I expect him to have a much better game today. He's going to get big yards and quite possibly a touchdown. I think that's going to pay more dividends than what Keenan Allen maybe does today. He's got a little more competition that he's playing with. If you saw Justin Herbert last week, he played really well. Herbert had a phenomenal game. I expect him to have another phenomenal game. I'm really high on Justin Herbert. I think he's a top 5 quarterback in this league. He has Ladd McConkey. He has Keenan Allen. He now has Quentin Johnston, who was one of the more popular pickups this weekend. I'm going to say Pickens and really hope that goes well for you. Good luck, Nate, with that. Next question we have, thinking of starting Tyreek Hill over Egbuka or McMillan, half point PPR, 10 point. It's week 2. I'm going to say lean Tyreek Hill because it's week 2. But it was a really strong outing that we got of Egbuka and a really solid outing too from Ted McMillan. I'm not as bullish on Ted McMillan's offense right now, but I still think as far as a fantasy player, he's going to be good. I just think that Tyreek Hill at some point, we're going to have to figure this out, y'all. We're going to figure out if he's still that guy. And I think today is going to be one of those days we're going to see. And I don't know. I look at draft capital and where we were drafting Tyreek Hill, we were obviously drafting him over Emeka Egbuka and Ted McMillan. I think overall we lean on those kind of guys when we're torn. I say take them. Half point PPR. Yeah, if it's a half point PPR, 10-man, I'm going to go with the guy I hope and expect scores a touchdown today, and that's Tyreek Hill. I'm starting Keenan. He had hella targets last week. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and in PPR for sure, you want to start him. Keenan Allen still showing you that even at his age is still a viable player. Rome to the moon, yes. And as a Bears fan, we expect hope that that's the case today. I'm really bullish on Rome Odunze this year, but I also think this should be a very strong matchup. He's got a rapport with Caleb, even if Caleb's missing a lot of other pass catchers, which has been an issue for him. But as far as Rome, they seem to have something going right now. Rome Odunze or Keon Coleman. I'm going to go Rome Odunze. That's the guy I'm bullish on today. I do like Keon Coleman still. But I say Rome Odunze, he's kind of operating right now as the number one target for that offense. I know Keon Coleman showed you that a little bit more, but Joe Brady's offense out in Buffalo, they spread the ball often. So there's still some hesitancy with Keon Coleman. I'm not saying that he won't have a good game. I love Keon Coleman. I think he can have another strong game. But I think with the way that offense flows a lot, it's very game script dependent. It could be a James Cook day and nobody else is fed. It could be Dalton Kincaid, who we saw a very strong output for. It could be James Palmer. You know, there's still so many options. I know Ben Johnson and the Chicago Bears does. But right now, what we're seeing from Caleb Williams, who has shown some inaccuracy already, Rome Odunze and him have some type of connection. And I feel strong about that. So I'm going to go Rome Odunze there, John. We got someone who might be a Packers fan here. That's cool. Bears suck. Yeah, they didn't look great that second half, man. I'm with you, though. I would say they sucked, and they sucked in that second half. That first half was good. Bears winning today. Book it. We have another question from George. Pearsall, Henderson, or Keenan Allen at flex. 12-man PPR. Pearsall's right now workload and what he's expected to get. I think right now this is an easy option. These other two guys are great options, and this is really solid to have in a 12-man PPR. But I think you go with Ricky Pearsall, given what they're going through right now. TJ Hawkinson or Dalton Kincaid start this week. TJ Hawkinson, he's got more of that safer floor for fantasy football. Dalton Kincaid, we're just trying to figure out, is this year 3 his big breakout year? He had a good week 1. But again, that offense spreads the ball a ton. Dawson Knox may vulture a touchdown or 2, and you're not going to be too happy about that. So TJ Hawkinson. Next question here from Preston Flood. Thank you guys once again for joining the show. I appreciate you guys. Make sure to hit like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't so already. And make sure to check out the other social media pages that I have scrolling down on the bottom on the ticker. He has Omarion Hampton or Ted McMillan in PPR. Let's go Omarion Hampton here. You got the dual threat back. He can catch out of the backfield. I do love Ted McMillan. I really do. I'm going to say right now my lean is Omarion Hampton. I like his workload. I don't think they're ready to deploy Najee Harris. I know some people thought he played bad, but there was still a lot of good to like from that. And that offense, once again, Jim Harbaugh, Greg Roman, they're a real run and pound team. They're going to do that. I am looking real quick. I did, let's see here. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to go Omarion Hampton out of those two choices. Super flex, Justin Fields or Caleb Williams? Justin Fields, y'all. That's an easy question for sure. Justin Fields showed you what he did week 1. Right now, obviously, he is the superior player when it comes to fantasy football. I have a buddy who likes to clip my tape now and share that with me. I want to make that known. Fantasy football player, Fields is much more superior in that department. All right, we have another one here. Start Knicks, Caleb, or Penix, and who do you prefer or less? Thanks. Let's go with. Ooh, this is a good one. I'm trying to figure out what the Colts are right now. They play obviously pretty solid versus a team that didn't look good at all. They looked awful last week, and so did Tua when it came to the Miami Dolphins. I'm going to say let's go Michael Penix. I was very encouraged with what I saw week 1. I expect them to throw an extra touchdown or 2, and that's the big game, if I'm not mistaken, right? Is that tomorrow? I believe that is tomorrow. I don't have that here in front of me. They're playing the Buccaneers, if I'm not mistaken, correct? No, they played them last week. They are playing the... I will have to look. I'm so sorry, guys. I apologize for not knowing that from the top of my head. I will get that for you. But I do like Michael Penix right now over these two options. We have another question here. Nick, thanks for joining the show. Olave or Hollywood Brown PPR? Olave is a great player. I think Olave is a good option, but right now, because of his quarterback, I'm going to lean Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown showed you, and he had 16 targets last week, 10 catches, such a strong outing. It's hard not to want to play Hollywood Brown this week. I'm going to start him and play him as far as Xavier Worthy being out. And for another week, as we are told, maybe comes back next week. And then we still have Rashee Rice being out. Let's see here. Got another question here. Javonte Williams or Swift Half PPR, let's go with Javonte Williams. He's got a very, right now it looks like that's his backfield. I'm not worried about guys like Miles Sanders, who did not play well last week, and Javonte Williams got 2 touchdowns. He looks good. He looks to be the guy right now in that offense. And Schottenheimer likes to run the ball as well. I know they're going to be passing the ball a lot today, but Javonte Williams, even in a half PPR league, can still find a way to score a touchdown. He's catch the ball out of the backfield. But when they get to the red zone and they get to that goal line, I think Javonte Williams he's got that role right now, and I think you should lean in on him. I'm going to go with 2 more questions here. 10-man, full PPR with 2 flex spots. Rosters: Ashton Jeanty, James Conner, Travis Etienne Jr., Neighbors, McConkey. All right, Chris Olave. Which 4 to bench? Well, you are starting Neighbors, sir. You are starting McConkey. You are starting. So if we're going to pick 4 out of this bunch, it's a 10-man league. This is a tough one. All right, we're going to bench Jacoby Myers. We're going to bench out of this group here. We're going to bench DJ Moore. I'm assuming that's DJM. For this one, I like James Conner this week, but right now we're not too sure how that's going to look. Let's go to Omarion Hampton. All right, you got me with this question. This is a tough one here. So Jacoby Myers, DJ Moore, Omarion Hampton will bench this week. And I say Jeanty just for week 1. Let's get more of a feel for how he's going to look. So that means you're starting, who is that? James Conner. Etienne Jr. had a strong week 1. I still think you should give James Conner a shot with that matchup versus the Carolina Panthers. They can't stop the run at all. He scores a touchdown or 2 today. Neighbors is an automatic lock. He's going to have a great, strong matchup today. Lad McConkey, you should be starting, Hollywood Brown, and Chris Olave. So yeah, those are the 4 guys I would say out of that bunch. You have a squad. You have a really good team. That's really hard, y'all. My gut says Pickens. Yes, go with Pickens, man. I think Pickens is a good play. Keenan or Ridley. Keenan or Ridley, full PPR. Yes. Let's go. I'm gonna go Calvin Ridley. I think he has a better game. He's the number 1 target. He's not competing with any other wide receivers currently. We have, let's see, start 3, half PPR, Diggs, Waddle, Tillman, Swift, and Keenan. Thank you, good sir. Diggs, Waddle, Tillman, Swift, and Keenan. And it's a half PPR. Let's go Swift. You want to go with the running back here, especially in a half PPR league. Touchdown dependent. Cedric Tillman is the number 1 option right now. And man, Diggs and Waddle it's a coin toss between these 2. I'd say lean Waddle maybe there, just because we're trying to figure out a little bit more of that role. He's coming out of an injury. We're not too sure how healthy Stephon Diggs is yet. I still will start him in leagues, but if you're asking me to pick 3 out of these in a half PPR, I say Waddle, Tillman, and Swift. Thank you for watching. Let's see who else we have here. I'm going to answer one more question, y'all, and then we're going to get right to making sure we have all our lineups set for today. We are about 40 minutes out from Red Zone, if you guys watch that, or watching your favorite teams play. And if you have multiple screens, kudos to y'all. That's always fun as well. Last question here. We have Jameson Williams or Ridley in my flex spot, 10-man, 1-point PPR. And I really like Ridley for sure this week. This is also another coin toss. I love J-Mo too. I actually think J-Mo is going to play really well versus the Bears today. We do have Jalen Johnson coming back. I expect Jalen to probably be on Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm not really too sure yet how that game is going to probably turn out. I think Calvin Ridley is just going to be a sneaky play today, y'all. I like them. I like their matchup versus the Rams. Again, that front 4 is solid, but the secondary is very questionable. The Bears secondary is actually pretty strong and pretty good. My lean for that question is Calvin Ridley. Thank you guys once again so much for hopping on. I appreciate it. We had much more questions today. That's always awesome to have. Please feel free to hop on once again. I'll be doing this again next Sunday, but this week I'll be putting out there the week 3 waiver wire show. Make sure to catch that. Make sure to watch that. Share it with your friends and anybody else you have in your leagues. Again, this is a community that I have been so excited to build. This is for y'all. This is for me. This is for all of us. I mean, we're all a part of this, and just couldn't be happier than what we did today. This is fun. Football is back. Week 2. It's going by quick already. That's what I'm going to start saying because we're already talking week 2 football. But yeah, good luck to everyone in their leagues. Good luck if you're playing DFS. Good luck if you have a prop. I'm going to try to get a prop out there today for tonight's game and tomorrow's game. I promise y'all too. So I'm going to get those out there. Make sure y'all do your best there. And good luck, everyone. Peace. Thank you.